You guys know me. I have a little bit of a preamble. I'm going to get it out of the way, but it's going to be really important because it's going to set up this video and make it make sense. Without this is just another video with a bunch of fragrances that I guess last a long time, but there's more to it than that. At least I hope you would expect that. So first off, these 10 fragrances I'm going to share with you are fragrances that I need to spray with thoughtfulness. I need to take into account where I'll be that day. That is mostly inside versus mostly outside. How close I might be to others. Am I going to be in close proximity in small spaces, or will I have lots of space between me and other people throughout the day? The weather / climate. That's again both indoors and outdoors. And most importantly, if I actually want to commit to one scent profile for the entire day, unless I decide to shower and try to scrub it off later. Now let me be clear, I don't love these fragrances because they are strong and noticeable. Their high performance simply enhances their already phenomenal scents so that I can simply enjoy them for longer and more effortlessly. However, and I know some of you may struggle to believe me when I say this, but I would love all of these fragrances even if they only lasted me 5 hours with minimal sillage. In fact, many of the fragrances I enjoy on a weekly basis fall into this category, but for obvious reasons, they're not in this video. One other thing I absolutely have to mention, this is crucial. A vast majority of fragrances that I try and wear last a long time on my skin. That's just the nature of my skin. I know some of you do not have this experience, so therefore, there are no guarantees being made about performance in this video, ironically enough. Even though these are strong fragrances, they may not be the same for you, at least in terms of your expectations. Also, I need to mention in this video something that I haven't mentioned in some time. There is a difference between how long a fragrance lasts and for how long you can detect it. Don't assume that your sense of smell is infallible, is perfect, is without fault. It is much easier than you think to go nose blind to lots of fragrances for a variety of reasons. So just because you can't smell it doesn't mean it has bad performance. Be careful how you judge. If you want some solutions to this common problem of nose blindness, then I would check out this video I made within the past year about how I personally apply my fragrances so that I can better detect them throughout the day. Hopefully that can offer you some tips if you need some. Bottom line, if I have to choose between a scent that I absolutely love that has low performance and strong performance with a scent that I just find okay, I will always choose the scent I love every time. With that, let's dive into these 10 fragrances. This is from the house of Tom Ford, and this is Ébène Fumé. This is a fragrance I cannot wait to start wearing more frequently as we move into these cooler months. This is fall and winter vibes for sure. This is a beautiful personality. It's a darker one. It's one that I tend to save for the evening time. This is smoky, sweet, ambery, resinous woods and spices. It is pretty dang smoky. You gotta like a smoky, woody scent, but it comes off very elegant. It comes off a little bit enigmatic. There's this air of mystery to it. When you wear it, it is a profile that gathers attention but may not have people saying something to you, and that's okay. It makes a statement, especially if you don't spray too much. I love the way this makes me feel. This is one that, again, I tend to wear it in the evening time. I might wear it on more of a gloomy day and wear it throughout the day into the night, but if I wear it in the night, I know that I'm gonna go to bed. I'm probably gonna still smell it, but I don't need it at that point because I'm gonna take a shower in the morning and start all over. That is Ébène Fumé from Tom Ford. This is a fragrance I love the trail of. I love the scent trail it leaves when I wear it. I love the way it kind of fills the space around me and lingers and moves very slowly. It just makes me feel really sexy. This is from the house of Argos. It's Danae. This is one of my most worn from the house. It's a fairly simple scent profile. Some may say it even borders on the realm of a mainstream profile, but with very high quality materials and a beautiful blend that comes across smooth and luxurious. A little bit of citrus, so there's some brightness to it, but it's mostly kind of this blonde woods, creamy, smooth, ambery, resinous feel. I think there's labdanum in here, cistus labdanum, which is a resin. It does have this warmth to it. It has this ambery nature to it. In this case, it's made very, very smooth. Once again, almost borderline creamy, a little bit of a woodiness in there that does add a little bit more texture. In the air, it just lingers. Once again, it smells really attractive. And once again, I love the way it makes me feel. That is from Argos. That's Danae. You can use the code FRESH10 at Argos's website to save 10% on any purchase if you're interested in getting a discovery set or something. check them out. This fragrance goes without saying in regards to its performance. From the house of Dior, this is Sauvage Elixir. I think I referenced this recently in another video, but when I first got this fragrance, I did a first impressions video and a whole update video, and it was a lot of fun to do. I didn't know how strong it was going to be. I sprayed it way more times than I would spray it today. Luckily, it turned out okay, but a lot of you guys were freaking out in the comments and have been freaking out to this day, even though that video is like 3 years old.
Justin, what are you doing? You sprayed it 4 times, 5 times. That's overkill. And you're right.
But I didn't know that. Now I know it, and I tend to go no more than 2 or 3 sprays with this one. I love this dark barbershop feel I get out of this scent. It is kind of lavender forward. It is a little bit fresh, but not bright smelling. There is a clean quality here, but it is dense. It is rich and very masculine, lots of spices and woods, a little bit of licorice in there, which gives it a beautiful nuance and depth that's different from the rest of the Sauvage line. So much deeper, so much more complex and more interesting than any other Sauvage. Maybe next to the Eau Forte, which is a wonderful scent that's very polarizing. I find that one interesting as well. But man, this stuff is nuclear. That's all we really need to say about it. Smells wonderful, makes me feel masculine, makes me feel very refined. Tend to wear it in the evening, but I can wear it in the morning and it'll last me until the next morning, most likely. That is Sauvage Elixir from Dior. This is one I cannot stress sampling enough. I'll have a link to a sample down below, maybe with the discount code, because this one is not going to be for everyone. Some of you guys might buy this because you get excited, you spray it on, and you can be like, this smells weird, it smells powdery, this is not what I expected, is it masculine, where can I wear this? You have been warned, but I think it's lovely. This was love at first sniff for me. This is 40 knots from Xerjoff. Now, it was not what I expected as well. I was expecting an aquatic fragrance, a strong, rich, maybe woody aquatic. Had read nothing about it. It came in the mail. Don't do what I did, because I did get it without smelling it first, and I was like, this is an ambery, powdery, woody fragrance, a little bit resinous, maybe a touch of a freshness in there, but not what I expected. However, as it sat on my skin, which it did for 12 plus hours in my first day wearing it, I was loving the elegance. I was loving the vibe I was getting around me in the air. It was just kind of capturing my attention the entire day. Now, it is a relatively simple scent profile, doesn't change a ton on my skin, but this is one of those few cases where I like that it doesn't change. The simplicity of it adds to its specialness. This is a day or night fragrance, pretty much year round. Not going to be my top pick on a hot summer day for sure, but pretty much outside of a hot summer day, I would wear it almost any other time. Let me know if you dig this one. If you haven't tried it, once again, links down in the description. That is 40 knots from Xerjoff. At number 5, this has been a love for me since I first smelled it like 4 years ago. A friend of mine named Wayne was the reason why I got my nose on this, so thank you so much, Wayne. This has changed the course of my fragrance journey, so to speak. I discovered this house because of him and really appreciate the house. I've talked about them a lot ever since, and especially this offering that is called Oud Galore. This is from Chris Collins. This is a house worth looking into if you haven't tried them. They're not cheap. They are on the more luxury side of things, but they smell like it. You get a bottle of any other fragrances, you smell it, you get what you pay for, and I think you'll feel that way. This is a beautiful rose oud. At its core, a westernized, easy to understand rose oud. The oud in here is more on the medicinal side. It is woody, but it's not super funky. It's not very pervasive, but it does kind of define the scent in conjunction with this sweet kind of jammy rose with a little bit of freshness, but also this warm spiciness. And I think what really makes this fragrance special is its orris note. There's orris root, which adds this creamy, buttery feel, acts as a glue to the scent, kind of just sticks it all together, makes it a little bit more dense, but it is airy. It does have this air to it that almost lends this feeling of transparency, but it at the same time pretty strong, very noticeable, and long lasting for me. It's just a very elegant rose oud that's easy to wear. It's perfectly unisex. If you're not a fan of rose or oud, or rose and oud together, you have to try this. That might sound weird, but get a sample of this one. Let me know what you think. If you've tried it already, let me and everyone else know down in the comments what you think of Oud Galore from Chris Collins. From the house of Roja Parfum, one that I've been a little bit hesitant to recommend to people just because of its relationship with its predecessor. This is called Apex Parfum. The weirdest thing about Apex Parfum is that it basically came out just mere months after its original release, the Eau de Parfum version of Apex, which I still don't understand. I've never quite seen a 1-2 punch so quickly like that. Nonetheless, it is a great scent. I do like it a little bit more scent wise over the EDP, but if I would recommend any of them, I would recommend the EDP. However, this is a video about performance. This one does perform better for me. It does have more of a richness and a dense quality that doesn't make it project more. It may not necessarily be more noticeable, and that is just the nature of a heavier scent, but it it is definitely more long lasting. When it gets on my clothes, I smell it the next day, maybe for days to come. This is a green leather fragrance. It's green, kind of piney, but also fruity, warm, again, quite leathery, almost animalic in a way, a little bit boozy. There's a lot going on here, which is very typical of Roja's fragrances. It does smell masculine. It does smell very authoritative. It smells confident. This is day or night wear, but for me, when I put this on in the morning, once again, this is going to last me into the evening. I love the way this stuff makes me feel. I love how it evolves on the skin, becomes a little bit more leathery, less fruity, more woody, but still retains this green quality that, for me, to my nose and experience, harkens back to some older scent profiles. There is this slightly neo-retro vibe to this scent personality that I really dig. It gives it some definitiveness, but it also gives it a reason for some of you guys not to like it so much because it might smell a little bit old-fashioned, but I think it's perfectly modern. Nonetheless, Apex Parfum from Roja Parfum. Sample first, do not blind buy it. It's not worth the money if you don't love it, and it's very expensive for what you get, but try it first. You might actually love it. We're going to talk about the house of Amouage. I recently featured Enclave, which is currently my favorite from the house. It's been that way for some time, and Enclave could be in this list. I just chose to choose a different one just to change it up for you guys. Both this and Enclave perfectly fit a spot here. I'm talking about Beach Hut Man this time around. I've loved this one too for some time. Beach Hut Man, similar to Apex, is green. It's green and woody, but in this case, we're focusing on more of a grassy greenness, lots of vetiver. It's very earthy. It's minty. It is just focused on herbs and bush and mint and greenness, woodiness, a little bit of myrrh resin in here that acts as this subtly sweet glue. It's a warm, sweet resin that adds some depth to the scent and ties it to the Amouage brand and aesthetic. And it is nuclear. It is so strong. 2 sprays, maybe 3. Maybe 3. If I'm going to be mostly outside, I'll go with 3. If I'll be mostly inside, I'll go with 2. And I might even do 2 inside the collar if I'm wearing a collared shirt, just so it's not just filling the space and choking people and grabbing them by the nose and wringing them out, because it can do that in my experience. But I love Beach Hut Man. I've loved it for a long time. The performance just enhances the experience. It makes it a different type of functional fragrance, but for me, the scent alone is captivating. That is Beach Hut Man. Let me know if you enjoyed this green, woody, masculine fragrance. Admittedly, this next fragrance is one that I wore incorrectly, and I had to get away from it for a while because of this blunder that I made. This is Russian tea from Masque Milano. I've loved this fragrance for a long time. It is a beautiful tea fragrance. It's black tea. It's raspberry. It's a little smoky from some incense. There's a little bit of spice. It smells like a cup of black tea that's almost honeyed in a way with this raspberry. It's kind of minty and cooling, but still warm. There is a beautiful immortelle note and some leather in here. It's simple, but it is so specific. You can smell everything all at once working together. It doesn't change a ton, and it just has this very specific personality that you have to be in the mood for. The last time I wore this, I sprayed, I want to say 3 or 4 times, maybe 4 times. I was working in a cafe and the girl working next to me was struggling. I could hear her just like sneezing, and I was like, you know what? I need to go. After about 30 minutes of that, I couldn't focus on my work anymore. I had to get up and leave and relieve her of my mistake. So no more than 2 sprays of this usually for me. If I'm going to do 3, I'm mostly going to be outside. It's more than enough. It's a fragrance that I wear for me. It's one that's a little bit more introspective, even though it is quite noticeable. Let me know if you enjoy Russian tea. I recommend getting a sample of this one for the fall time. It is a perfect fall fragrance in small doses. Up next, from the house of Nishane, I also talked about this in a recent video. This is Papilefiko. This is not a fragrance I would call beast mode. It's not like overwhelmingly noticeable, but it is persistent. Sometimes I forget that it's there because I'm, moving about my day and maybe outside not smelling, and all of a sudden it just comes back 9 hours later, 12 hours later, and the way it dries down. So let's just talk about the opening first. The opening of this fragrance does remind me a little bit of a fougere. The more I've gotten to know this fragrance, the more I would classify it as this resinous fougere, if that's a thing. But I get that vibe. It is aromatic, it is fresh, it is spicy. There's lavender, there's cardamom, there is this clean barbershop feel. It's backed by lots of oak moss, which is also typical of the fougere, but there is this resinous feel, like fir balsam, maybe some other resins like styrax. There's some sweeter, warmer elements that make it a little bit heavier, a little bit more bottom heavy. As it dries down, it gets warmer, a little bit less fresh, and it just smells more masculine, in my opinion. If I'm gonna wear this all day, I would save it for a more mild day. I save it for the fall and maybe the spring if I'm gonna do all day wear with this, where it's not gonna really get above 70 degrees Fahrenheit, because this stuff can get a little sweet and warm, and again, a little bit too strong and pervasive. But when the temperature is right, this stuff just lingers around with just a few sprays. It is beautiful in the air. I've gotten some really interesting compliments on this fragrance. People asking me what it is and whatnot. It just smells great in the air, and I love the way it makes me feel. It makes me feel like myself. That is Nishane Papilefiko. And the final fragrance is from the house of Fragrance du Bois. They call it Oud Bleu Intense. This is still currently my favorite from the house. It's still my most worn from the house. The only thing I'm gonna say I don't like, but I'll just say I don't understand about Fragrance du Bois in terms of how they label their fragrances. On the front, you're gonna see it says Parfum at the bottom, but then if you look at the bottom of the bottle itself, hopefully you can see on the sticker, it says Eau de Parfum. What's going on here, guys? It is a discrepancy. Parfum would imply, okay, maybe it's a parfum concentration, but no, it's an Eau de Parfum, but maybe Parfum is just saying, oh, this is a perfume.
Okay, great, we know that.
But nonetheless, this fragrance is no slouch for me. Most of them aren't that I have. Some of them are a little bit lighter and more ethereal and less long lasting, but if you're looking for something long lasting but also versatile, at least for me, this is that fragrance. It is an interestingly strange but easy to understand and easy to wear fresh fragrance. It's fresh by way of citrus, but also resins. Lots of resins and incense, somehow making it a little cooling and fresh, maybe reminiscent of its name. It does have this feeling of blueness, almost this everyday, clean, masculine scent, but it is just different, and it's done in a different way. It's very unique in that regard. One of the most unique from the house I've tried that's still very easy to wear in a lot of situations. I can wear this, again, almost all year round. Not going to be my top pick, once again, on the hottest days of the summer, but on those milder days, I can put this on in the morning, enjoy it all the way to the evening. Love the way it dries down, love the way it makes me feel. I love how it's in the air. My wife loves this one when I wear it. She always has something to say about Oud Bleu Intense. This will be, I think, my favorite from the house for some time. Nothing's topped it just yet. You let me know if you enjoy it. If you haven't tried it, links in the description. I want to know what you guys think of these fragrances if you've tried them. What are some fragrances that you also love because they smell amazing? I think you understand how I'm emphasizing that, but they also happen to have stronger performance that just enhances your experience and your functionality with these fragrances. If you need an all-day scent that you truly enjoy, you can go to these fragrances. What are those for you? Give me one, give me a top one. I'd love to know. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Peace. I'll see you in the next one.